Dr. Kurt Jefferson with Spalding University just released a new book on the wars of Israel. He's an expert on the Middle East conflict. Thanks for being here with us again. We appreciate it. And I want to ask you about that interview that we just saw. Netanyahu saying that he wouldn't rule out taking out Iran's top leader. So what are your thoughts about that, and how would the rest of the world react to that?
Well, I think historically, Connie, that Israel normally does not tolerate or state that they're going to get into regime change. So this would be quite a surprise if they're saying that they want to go after the political leadership. We know they've been going after the military leadership and decapitating them, but it would be quite a turn from their normal course of action in wars to do that.
It was interesting. Donald Trump said today that he opposed a plan to kill Iran's supreme leader and sort of pushed it off the table. That developed. But Netanyahu also said today that their strikes on the nuclear capabilities of there set them back, quote, a very, very long time. Do you believe that?
Well, I think yes. They have 6 compounds that they've hit in terms of nuclear capability. And the Iranians were engaged in developing the fissile material. So I do agree with what the Prime Minister is saying, but the extent to which, how far along their program is the real question, and the world is taking Israel for their word on this, but we'll see what happens as we go forward.
The president is saying he wants the two to go back to the negotiating table. How realistic is that?
I actually think it's quite realistic, to be honest, Connie. I think that in these wars, as I've said in my book and I've said before, Israel gets about a week to 3 weeks to jump in, start using military activity, and then the P5 states of the UN, led usually by the US, come in and say, enough is enough, we need to stop.
You're such an expert on this. Now, I had you on Thursday night, right after this story broke late at night. You were on with us on the night team at 11 o'clock, where you said you didn't believe the United States would eventually get involved. Have you moved off that stance? Because that was last Thursday night.
Right, and a little bit has changed, Doug, in this time frame of a few days, but I still do not believe we're going to see 1991 or 2003 Gulf War, where we sent thousands of troops into the region. I think absolutely we're seeing naval assets being moved into potentially into the Persian Gulf. They're heading into the Mediterranean as well. Maybe definitely special forces being used in some of these areas, American special forces, not just Israeli. But I would be very surprised, given the potential for a broader regional conflict, if Donald Trump was going to commit more than just a few hundred forces into this current war with Israel and Iran.
What do you think would be the long-term economic impacts if the U.S. does get involved? Well,
certainly we all are watching the oil and gas situation, but I think in the longer sense, we've got to be very careful about Straits of Hormuz, Straits of Tehran, all in this area with the Red Sea, Egypt, all of that affecting both Africa, the Horn of Africa, as the Cape of Good Hope, and also the Mediterranean. That could really stop up supply lines coming to and from, and it could hurt the United States and other Western countries in terms of their economic power.
So far, Israel reporting about 24 dead, and Iran 224. How important is it for the United States to get involved in some peace talks? And are we going to be the ones that make the difference in this?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, Doug. I think the peace talks will come sooner rather than later, although I do think Netanyahu has forced his own course here. And I think historically, we see the American administration leading this area. And I do think it will be coming within the next 10 days or so. But given what we've seen with the Hamas war, it might be a little longer than that.
I want you to hold up your book, because the timing on this is unbelievable. This book just came out at the end of May. And it is the wars of Israel there. You're here at Spalding University, and you said it's done quite well. People are really weighing into this right now?
Yeah, they are. And I think there's only about 3 books in English on the wars of Israel, and I categorize all 18 wars. So it's interesting. Many were questioning whether the Israel-Iran war, given what happened last April and last October, was actually a war. Well, we now know, somehow I had it right in my crystal ball, that yes, a war was coming. I hate to have to say that, but in reality, this is where we are.
We're fortunate to have you right here in our backyard.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you very much. Kurt will be joining us here throughout this process. Let's hope this war is not very long.